When it comes to sharing money, there are two types of sharing, basically. There's X-rated and V-rated. X-rated sharing, as you might have guessed, stands for taxation, where the government says you will share. V-rated is voluntary sharing. So let's talk about voluntary sharing first, because if the voluntary sharing is done right, it will bring the rewards, it will bring significant rewards both to the one receiving and the one giving. Listen to this. This was a huge takeaway for me as I did some studying on this. Proverbs 28:27. And the question is, how can you ensure your economic security? How can you ensure your economic security? What do you think the answer is to that? It is not what many would expect. Listen to this carefully. God says, "He who gives to the poor will never want, but he who shuts his eyes will have many curses." He who gives to the poor will never want, but he who shuts his eyes will have many curses. It's very important that we target our giving. If we give to the rich, we'll come to poverty. That's another proverb says that. If you want to become more secure economically, learn to give to the poor. Again, you need to do some studying to find out which poor. The scripture says, Proverbs 11:24-25, "There is one who scatters and yet increases all the more, and there is one who withholds what is justly due, and yet it results only in want. The generous man will be prosperous, and he who waters will himself be watered." I have found in many years of financial counseling and financial planning that those people who give generously to the poor don't become poor themselves. On the contrary, they prosper and they have more joy with their money than the millionaires, even multimillionaires who are tightwads. It's amazing. The generous man will be prosperous, and he who waters will himself be watered. That is voluntary sharing. And furthermore, if somebody asks you the question, who says money can't buy happiness? Give them this proverb, Proverbs 14:21. "He who despises his neighbor sins, but happy is he who is gracious to the poor." Happy is he who is gracious to the poor. Yes, money can buy happiness. Just invest in the right way. Now, this is tax season here in Canada right now, and I think taxes are not going to go away based upon our government overspending. So, what does Proverbs have to say about taxes? Proverbs 17:26. "It is not good to find the righteous, nor to strike the noble for their uprightness." Should income tax be flat or progressive? The Bible is pretty clear on this. A progressive income tax rate is unjust. You should not fine the righteous for working harder and earning more. The flat tax method is much better. It is a win-win. If government gets too aggressive, they actually will destroy the economy and individuals in the process. When does taxation become excessive? Proverbs 29, verse 4. "The king gives stability to a land by justice, but a man who takes bribes overthrows it." If you study that word carefully, the word bribes, it says a king or a jurisdiction that takes bribes, that is, that demands excessive, inappropriate financial compensation, actually overthrows the land. So the Taxpayers Federation of Canada should look at this very carefully, and they would be surprised to know that God actually brings a curse to that jurisdiction that aggressively taxes the hard workers and high income earners. It results in a lose-lose. A lose to them, a lose to their employees, and a lose to the jurisdiction, which is taking their money.